Marketing to mothers. Now this is thoughtful. Hello, I'm Kitty Lun in Shanghai. China has about 320 million working mothers, and they are a driving force of domestic consumption. But they also exhibit striking differences based on age, background, and geography, and therefore do not respond to marketing messages in the same way. Consequently, many brands fall short of connecting with them. This week on Thoughtful China, our experts Jacob Johansen, Sherry Poon, and Yuhong will help you understand these valuable consumers. And Linda Kovarik will share a thought or two about how to reach Chinese mothers. But first, with us in the studio today is Vijayanand Sinha, Regional Vice President of Laundry for North Asia at Unilever. Vijay, thanks for coming to the studio today. Back to that tiger mom reputation. Do you think it fairly represents the mothers that you encounter in your research at That Is Good Laundry in China?
Thank you, Kitty, for having me here. I think it's an evolution from that. You know, I've been in China, as you're well aware, working with yourselves and others on tiger moms. I think it's evolving to an extent of being far more balanced than as an attitude to kids and their growing up, than possibly what tiger mom talks about. So I think it's a tiger mom plus with a more humane, more time for relaxation, and possibly a more all-round development of children. And I'm not suggesting that the journey is over, but I think it's moving fast in that direction.
For your That Is Good laundry brand, you specifically target to mothers and women, right?
Mothers,
yes. How do you do that?
I think it's done in 3 or 4 ways. I think the first thing is to recognize the fact that our prime consumer is actually the mother herself. I think in China, like in most Asian societies, she basically runs the home. And if she's running the home, and we are a brand that's probably the most integrated part of her home, which is in terms of turning out people looking nice in good clothes, I think it's a very intuitive connection. I think what's also more important is in terms of how we do it. So we also recognize her for not just doing the usual daily routine of the house in terms of cleaning clothes, but actually reflecting her as the woman herself. And therefore she has values, and she cascades those to everyone in the house, specifically the kids that she's growing up. So I think in each part of the mix, not just communication, she becomes our target consumer. Excellent. And the prime audience. I mean, I think as a brand, if you're able to reach out to her, I think that's success in its best form for us.
And communicating to mothers, what have we learned from the past, and how should we evolve into the future?
So, Kitty, I must say that in the industry, we are evolving as well. I think as a community, we feel that the mother plus or the tiger mom plus is the right way to go. And you're very aware as to how we actually do it on Dirt Is Good. So it's all about the balanced development of children. It's all about teaching children to do things the right way, to be actually helping others, which are at the core of traditional Chinese values. So in many ways, as the mother of tomorrow moves forward, in this entire environment of competition, success, get it today, I think the human side will become important, and I think we are latching onto it. So if you actually see the entire work that's happening on mothers with us, it's far more human. It's far more about all-round development. It's far more about teaching kids to do things the right way. It's about success with a purpose. And again, I'm not trying to suggest that we have gone the whole way as a brand, but I think what we're trying to do is to help mothers in China move in that direction, because ultimately brands should have purpose. It's just not about selling more and more.
Yes, it's more the what. what you are, what you represent, rather than just the how.
Absolutely.
You know, I think you know, with all these, you know, building around, you know, the mothers as humans, I think, you know, it will, you know, cross-fertilize the brand. I think, you know, being, you know, a Chinese and a Chinese woman, I think it resonates a lot with me. Talking about Chinese mothers, do you find, I mean, in your work, in previous and current global roles, you encounter with mothers all over the world. So how do you compare the mothers of other parts of the world and China?
I actually tend to look at it far more in terms of blocks. So yes, I've worked in Europe, and as you may guess, I've worked for a long time in India, and of course worked in Southeast Asia, which is closer home. I think mothers in China are finally, and for the right reasons, progressing towards children and the desire to have children who succeed, but also make a difference to themselves and in life. I think if that was a continuum, I think Chinese mothers are slightly ahead of rest of, I would say, countries that I worked in, not the Western world, because I think the comparison with the Western world is a very different comparison, because that then starts including standards of living, it starts including a lot of history, so on and so forth. But if I were to actually pinch it against let's say, in India, I think the desire for success is far more straightforward, I would say, in India. And I think in China, I think because people are becoming more and more confident of a brighter future, they would like to see all-round development of their children as they move forward. And I think it's very important to recognize that. And in that sense, actually, I think working with Chinese moms actually is a mirror to the rest of Asia 10 years later. So I think anyone who interacts with mothers in China will typically gain by saying, oh, this is probably where the rest of Asia will be some years later. And yeah, and I think that's the trick. I think we should be very, very certain that when we are talking to Chinese mothers, we are just not talking about getting a job and material success. No longer. It was probably true a few years ago, I don't deny it, but no longer. And I think China is a beacon of change. And in that sense, I think this reflects a big change.
Vijay, thanks for being in our studio today.
Thank you, Kitty. Thank you for having me.
Now, Linda Kovarik will share a thought or two about how to reach Chinese mothers.
Thoughtful China is the must-see program for all hardened industry professionals.
Thoughtful China is a very well received show among the marketing and advertising industries.
Tiger moms, panda moms, tiger cub moms. If you want to know mothers in China, you need to know this, that the mother is born 9 months before the baby is born. She's doing her research, she's learning about products, she's learning about your company, the good, the bad, she's asking her friends, she's looking on social media sites. The one person she's not talking to, though, is probably her own mother, because there's so much more out there for her to look at and read and really understand about her own child and about being a mother. The research these mothers are undertaking goes far beyond typical curiosity. It's very much born out of the tainted milk scandals and food safety issues that they're encountering in China today. So to cater to her in this life stage, brands need to offer up interesting bits of information that she doesn't already know that can help drive advocacy, but more importantly, trust in your brand. Beyond the neonatal and infancy stage, the mother becomes more like a talent manager for her child. separate from academic performance. At this stage, she very much wants her child to be accepted by his or her peer group, while at the same time looking like a great mother. Now, this is done obviously through simple things, stain-free clothing, or even just branded snacks that the child can share on the playground for a bit of playground credibility. There are many other developmental stages that the mother goes through. The important point is, though, that the mother changes as the child changes. So for brands to bond and connect and engage with these mothers, it's very important to understand the changing dynamic. So for all marketers out there, this is definitely something to keep a thoughtful eye on.
Thanks, Linda, and welcome back to the studio. Our topic today is marketing to Chinese mothers who have a reputation in the West as being so-called tiger moms. But is that image accurate? Let's find out from today's panelists. With us now in the studio is Jacob Johansen, Head of International Projects at Mensch, Li Yuhong of J. Walter Thompson Shanghai, and Sherry Poon, Managing Director at World Baby Basics. Welcome to the studio, and thank you for being on the panel. Back to our topic, the tiger mom reputation of the Chinese mothers. I'm sure you all have your opinions. Do you think this reputation reflects positively or correctly on the images of the Chinese mothers?
Yeah, I won't deny the tiger side of Chinese mothers, but we should see the Chinese mothers are evolving. And for example, the new mothers now are mainly born in late 1980s and early 1990s. In the next few years, the mainstream of Chinese moms are mainly 1990s generation, which this generation are very different to the previous generation. They are much more westernized, more pragmatic, more hedonistic, and they want their baby really to be happy. So, but they still live in a real world, a very competitive environment. So the tension still there, which is how to protect their childhood joy and the pressure to achievement. But from my observation, before the baby enter element school, be more happy is more important than be competitive.
Okay, tiger mom, is this image representative of the mothers that you encounter in your field of expertise?
No, I actually very much agree that I think the tiger mom is a commercial title which to some extent has been stereotyping Chinese women, and I think there's much more under the surface than just a tiger mom. In general, I think there's a tendency among Western companies operating in China to stereotype, especially the mother audience. Being a mother is not necessarily a target audience that is unified. Mothers are as diversified and different as any other target audience. So I think brands would do good for themselves by differentiating much more in detail when they look upon mothers as an audience.
What do you think marketers should start looking at or focusing on in terms of the marketing messages in your different fields that they should talk to these mothers, whether it should be the development of the children or whether it should be for their own convenience, for better usage of products and so on? What would be your point of view in terms of communication messages to these new generation of mothers?
I think because traditionally the most of those brands who target Chinese moms are always communicate a kind of narrow definition of achievement, which is academic achievement, like my baby is better than other baby, it's a champion baby. But I think now marketing people should value more this happiness, which is the new generation of moms. They care a lot. And on the other hand, I think they should broaden the definition of success, which the achievement is not only about academic achievement. And also the way lead to achievement is not necessarily should be a painful way. But I think if the brand can play a role, to help the parents to guide the kids to the new achievement in a smart way. For example, the play to learn, play to win, which, for example, I think some brands are doing very good job. For example, Qiaohu and some early education school. I remember one of my friends told me she sent her 3-year-old boy to an expensive course. Usually you think, oh, why so young? Why need to learn so much? But she said, no, my boy boy loves it. He say he is kind of play there. He doesn't kind of tell this is a play or study. And for mom, she think my boy is learning a new social skill and learn something new. So I think this is a new win-win model that's necessary to the old achievement, academic achievement.
I hear that, you know, happiness of the kid is actually very, very important to this new generation of mothers. And Sherry, you know, in your field, do you concentrate on traditional advertising messages like, you know, ads, or social media opinion leaders that, you know, you start using key opinion leaders to communicate to your to the mothers in China?
I think with mothers and women, they're very much looking for communities, looking for people that they can relate to. And so, yes, definitely we advertise a lot on using social media. We're on Weibo, we're on WeChat, on BBSs, bilingual BBSs in English and in Chinese, because this is where the moms are. They're looking for support, not just about their babies, but just, you know, where do you go for a kid-friendly restaurant? You know, just where do I buy this dress? How do I, you know, just things that they need to talk about with other mothers. As a new mother or as a mother who stays at home, you don't get out that often. And so the social media, the digital world is a new community that we do try to advertise on.
Yeah, JWT have done a global research on moms, which it shows compared to other countries, Chinese moms are more willing to share their experience, also to write a review. And before they make any decision, they usually just go to online and check what other people are talking about. They feel this is more reliable.
That's all good. They communicate, they connect, and they network. But what does it mean to marketers? What do brands communicate to these mothers when it is necessary? Because they are very smart. They don't get easily cheated, right? You know. So how are we going to approach them?
Yeah, but I think that's an excellent question. I think first of all, brands targeting mom has to realize that they need to talk straight. There's been a lot of brands in this segment who has been doing more or less trustworthy communication. The truth is, take infant formula, which I've been deeply involved with. These products are more or less the same. A lot of competitive brands are even produced at the same factories. There are zero difference on the product side. Yet they claim all kind of different benefits, rational benefits. And I think that's underestimating the audience. And I think that's extremely dangerous given the social media landscape and the mom's willingness to share information and knowledge and personal experience. So I think the first step is actually to be truthful. And if you cannot differentiate your product on rational, functional benefits, you need to create something else around the brand which people can relate to and which is still true. I've been, through the last 12 months, working with a Scandinavian infant formula brand which has been developed only for the Chinese market. And we were sitting with a product which is, as I said, basically the same product as everybody else in the market. So instead of trying to claim something that you cannot back up and where you risk a backfire on social media because people will find out it's not unique, we base this brand solely on emotional values and values about education and childcare, especially about letting children play and life-work balance, which is a Scandinavian virtue, you can say. And I think this is an interesting case because not many brands do this right now. But it means you have to dig a little bit deeper than we in our, at least as communicators sometimes do when we do our work, that we scratch the surface, we take a statistics about moms, and we communicate very much on stereotype messages. I think we need to go deeper, and I think the brands need to dare something, stand on the scene and say, we represent these values, even those values will not appeal to everybody.
True. And Sherry, do you have anything to add? Because I know that you are in the, very involved in the sustainability area. So, how to build the brand trust is actually at the forefront of marketers. What's your point of view?
Well, when I first started WOBB Basics, I thought being organic cotton, I needed to give a lot of information about what is organic cotton, how is it better for the environment, how is it better for the farmers, to tell the reason why you should buy organics. But I found out that actually that doesn't really give a lot of credibility. organics.
But you talked about they are hungry for information. How about giving them information? Why does it not work?
Clienteles are the mothers are very information hungry, but it's got to be very specific to what they're looking for. So they were not looking for information about the environment. They were not looking for the fact that we have ozone layer problems. What they're worried about is their baby, this cute little sweet baby that's lying in front of them that they're fully responsible for, and rightfully so. And so I've changed my tactics so that we focus more on health and safety. That organic cotton reduces the risk of toxins that goes into your baby's sensitive skin, and that the mothers are more receptive.
I see. So it's not just information, but relevant information and things that they are interested in, not just what we marketers are interested in.
That's right.
Is that correct?
I do agree, but I also think it's very much about the source of the information. What we have done is, with the infant formula I've been working on lately, is that instead of the brand claiming all kinds of issues, we outsource the providing of the information, so to speak. So we brought in moms from Scandinavia and China and Chinese living abroad who blog about their daily lives. They show pictures of their kids and how they do. So they walk the talk. They prove that this new way of upbringing kids is working, and there's another country and another part of the world where it works. And that's credibility, in action, I think, because it comes from the source. It's not a brand or a company claiming some fantasy or some ideological idea about upbringing. It's a real life, and it's working in real life. And I think this is important for the moms, because they will be under pressure from their own moms. Why do we make these decisions? So if they have a role model or a real life example they can bring forward, this is very strong.
A reference point.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting topic. And in fact, that leads in very well to my next question, which is social media. I mean, you touched on the importance of, having the peer group or people, a role model that, you can relate to. So in this digital age with social media, in terms of creating the messages, in terms of how to share the content, how to make use of the, the digital media, how to get peer group to endorse your messages. I'd like to hear your point of view. Yuhong?
Digital platform, and especially for target mom, people talk a lot about it. Everybody says it's very important, but I think the importance of a digital platform is really depend on the stages of moms. For example, the moms of infant baby, especially the first time being mom, and they very much rely on the digital platform because they have to looking for information, seeking for real-time help, every problem they have encountered. But for those moms of elementary school kids, and they are very busy on the kids' study, and they don't have so much time on the digital platform. So in terms of how to communicate with them on this digital platform, these new moms, and they always looking for information, but they also find that the overwhelmed information kind of confuse them. When they're looking for information like my baby now have a flu, what can I do? Many information, even it's a contrast. They don't know what to trust. So it's kind of difficult for them. So if a brand can really provide a reliable and a simple solution for them, I think you can be a trustworthy partner with them. Yeah.
It's very interesting you talk about this information overload. I think it moves so fast from a source of information, the internet, to nowadays that you get confusing and conflicting messages. Does that affect you, Sherry, in terms of your communication to your target audience?
Well, we did a survey last year, again looking at which method should we use for marketing, and we found out that actually most of my clients find out about What We Basics through word of mouth. They either receive a gift, or they see a friend wearing with their baby who has clothing and like it, and so it just passes that way, and that's I think very important.
So from our panelists today, I think we have agreed that there is no one single stereotype in China, and the Tiger Mom has already moved on, and this is a new generation of mothers. And you also talked about using different platforms to talk to them, and also to build the trust and the credibility of your brand. And the message should not just be focusing on product differences, but also how you support and inspire them. Those are all very, very fruitful thoughts. Thank you, Sherry, Yuhong, and Jacob, for being on Thoughtful China today. That wraps it up for today. Be sure to subscribe to us on Youku, Tudor, and YouTube. You can also follow us on Weibo, WeChat, and Twitter, and join our LinkedIn group. See you again.